Hi, it's ItJustay. I am Naomikin, and I've watched some of your VOD already, and I definitely have some tips and tricks that can help you, especially if Mercy is the hero you want to keep playing. I think at the elo you're at, your best bet is to pick a hero and do not change. Pick one, do not change, no matter what. If you hit a higher elo, then I'd start consider swapping. I think that support, there's a lot of heroes that have like synergy with it together, and it makes sense to learn the other ones, especially if you're not maining like a burst healer or you're maining a healer that's really common. But I will just say, I know you said you have several heroes in your pool. Pick your favorite, stick to it, okay? Now, whether it's Mercy or not, I'm going to finish watching your Mercy VOD here and giving you some tips. So we're going to do some like preliminary stuff, which is I'm going to talk about controls. So I think this is kind of important as a Mercy player to understand that the default controls are not the optimal controls. The optimal controls are toggle beam connection on, guardian angel target priority to prefer facing target, and toggle guardian angel off. That toggle guardian angel used to not necessarily be off, but since Overwatch 2 and the addition of her super jump, I highly suggest this turning off. So I highly suggest having these settings. This will maximize your uptime. And then also, if you have a mouse key, I highly suggest you bind crouch to a mouse key because it's a lot easier to do the super jump movement if you have it on a mouse key versus control, because hitting shift and then whatever like default control is a lot more awkward than hitting shift and then a mouse button. So I would suggest that as well. So let's go here. You are AFK for the first 15 seconds of the game, which is less than ideal, especially on Mercy, because your teammates are just so far ahead of you. By the time you actually start playing, your value is very, very low. And I find that you actually go AFK quite a bit, so I know it's like easier said than done, and AFK at the beginning of the match is a little bit different than in the middle of the match, in my opinion. But even higher like elo players on Mercy, they will speed people out on Lucio and then switch back. So let us actually let's talk about this a little bit. I like healing the Torb here. Our Doom was obviously screwed because he only had one person healing him and he's taking a lot of front damage. I like this res a lot. This is good. This is good placement for it too. Good cover. I like trying to go to the Reaper here. This is nitpicky, but instead of being here, I would maybe consider trying to be here. It's just a little bit safer and you can still probably get the beam on the Reaper, and then if it gets too dicey you can get here and heal those two people from this angle and you can be here. Okay. So then from here, I would stop and I would think about our composition versus their composition. And I want to figure out who I would call our quote-unquote default mode to be. So our default mode as a Mercy player is damage boost. Never heal, it's always damage boost. That is what default is. Healing is if necessary, damage boost is the main mode. So looking at our composition, who is the best person to damage boost? Generally, this will be a DPS player. It is not always a DPS player, but in our composition it is. Doomfist I don't think is a very great damage boost target. He's not as good as, let's say, I'd say the best tank example is Zarya. Zarya is a great damage boost target, especially after she's received some charge. She's so strong if you damage boost her. But looking at our team, honestly, it's not a great Mercy comp. It's good in terms of mobility. We are very, very mobile with this comp, considering we're going to have Reaper and Doomfist who will constantly be in the front line, and Ana and Torb who are going to be closer to the back line. If you get in a close range fight, both of your DPS are great for damage boosting. So your default in this, I would definitely default to staying with the Reaper more often. Right-clicking his shotguns is very powerful. I will, especially on this map where they really have to push into you now that you guys are about to cap. I will say at a longer range, and maybe even on one of the other maps, I would consider the Torb a better target, but because we are mostly taking a close range fight with the Reaper and the Doomfist, and I think spam Torb damage isn't always the best because it's a projectile and it's less reliable. So with that, I would think, okay, any moment that I do not have to heal, I want to damage boost the Reaper. Just looking at our comp. So let's just make a hypothetical about like if Torb went to Farah, I would switch to that. I'll just say theoretically, if Torb switches, what is better to damage boost than a Reaper? And the answer is most things. Like this is very like unoptimal Mercy damage boost scenario. So like Echo, Farah, Ashe, Cassidy, Soldier, all of these people, great damage boost targets. So even if one of them remotely switches, I would have to rethink about, okay, this is what our composition is. Do I need to switch to that person instead? Because it's not great for damage boosting here. We still should do it because that's where our main value is. But yeah. So again, I would try and default with the Reaper here. And yeah, since your team is pushing up, I would go and push up with them and damage boost the Torb. And there's a few reasons for this, and it's because if we just walk up here, because we've capped, so we don't need to stand point. We just walk up here and damage boost the Torb, and let's say we're like right here, damage boosting him because we can keep the beam on him. If something gets dicey, we just fly to Ana. Easy, we're out. So when your team pushes up, don't be afraid to push up with them. Yeah, be really wary about staying AFK because especially on Mercy, our uptime is our beam. If our beam's not connected to anyone, we're losing uptime. I honestly... Okay. Here, don't heal. Don't heal any of this. Your Ana's right there. She can heal this. Keep damage boosting. None of this needs to be healed until right there. There is where you need to start healing the Doom. And then after this, stop again. Damage boost. Damage boost only. Yeah, we need to fall back. This is a good res. I like how you use this cover here. And then afterwards, we need to try and get up off the ground. So as soon as we get this res, what I think about doing is using our Guardian Angel to the Torb, and then using whatever we can to get some airtime with our crouch. So you shift GA and then crouch to get some airtime. I like what you did here though. Falling back is definitely the call. Damage boost Torb. Don't pistol. Torb will do a lot more damage. He's trying to hit the Sojourn. I like the damage boost on the Reaper here. Very nice. Just damage boost to Torb. Not your teammates. And like, look, Torb is down health. He has 115 health. It doesn't matter if he's down 35. Because he has more health than you do right now. So just damage boost him. It really... There's also a slight benefit to leaving your teammates a little bit lower because of the Mercy passive. So if you need to get some healing, you can go and heal them. I'm not saying leave your teammates at half. I'm just saying that, honestly, if your teammate is not 3 health above critical, they probably don't need healing. So I kind of zoned out for a second, so we'll watch this again. Good damage boost. Just keep it up. Keep it up. Keep it up. Now swap. Yeah. Very nice. And now we want to push up with them. This is nice. I'd go up to this little box. Stay up with them. We want to keep... Beam uptime is value. Every second we have our beam connected to someone, that is value. As long as it's... Well, as long as... I'm saying... you know what I'm saying. It's mostly damage boost that gets this value, but sometimes it is healing too. So it's like, think about your beam uptime there. It was also low. Now we also need to think, what are we wanting to Valk here? We see our Reaper is going to make a play, so maybe we Valk to get him out. If they hard engage here, maybe we Valk for that. We could try and Valk for that res, but I do not like that call, actually. Yeah. So when we see the Sojourn, this ult is scary. This ult is terrifying. So the second I hear her pop that, I just think, okay, well, how do I try and hide from her? And the answer is that you just use this pillar and stay right here. Do not peek again. Your beam has some linger time, so I wouldn't worry about it. And then just don't peek her. This, she should have killed you. We need to heal our Ana. This is good. It's very scary crossing across this ult. So be very hesitant about that. So I said we need to heal our Ana, but we have a few ways of doing that. The other thing we could have done when we heard this ult is go the other direction. I'm not 100% sure that that's what I would have done, but you could go here, and then that way you can get some healing on the Ana while still not peeking the Sojourn. You want to try and be places where the enemy can't see you, but you can see your teammates. It's one of the few things, like, that's a very unique Mercy thing, where you do not want to see the enemy. It's, even on other supports, that's not something that's necessarily true, but on Mercy especially, just try and not see them. So crossing in the mid is very scary. The Shatter is scary. Don't be afraid to Valk. I would have, this could have actually maybe even turned around the fight if right about here. So I know I'm replaying this one spot a lot, but this is especially in a lower elo a very high intensity moment, because look at the enemy team's ultimates right now. They have one ult that they're about to pop, which we know. They're about to build 3 more ults, and they're probably going to use them. And then our team, we've nanoed the Doomfist. Our Reaper is completely dead, and we have 2 more ults. So there's going to be, this is like the first real ultimate fight. So what I probably would have done here, in all honesty, is when the Sojourn pops his ult, I'd hide behind this pillar, and then right about here, when I see the Ana's low, I would Valk. And then when you heal this Torb, the beam will also go onto the Ana. So you don't have to risk your life crossing here. And then especially during this Shatter, if you're in Valk, you heal 60 HP per second. That's very high. So I'd consider doing that here, especially now that the Sojourn ult is wearing off. And it's very possible that 1, you wouldn't have been hit by the Rhine, so you wouldn't have been this low because you could be up in the air. And then 2, you have your passive going at all times when you're in Valk, so that's also very strong. You'll start healing yourself when you're in Valkyrie. And I think you could have turned around this fight with Valkyrie in particular. Especially if you kept playing on this other side, and it would have been hard for the Moira to try and kill you. It's extra worth it with the fact that we committed Torbolt. So we committed Torbolt and lost this fight, but we didn't commit Valk, and maybe that ultimate would have really pushed us over the edge. The enemy used 3 ults. It wouldn't have been the worst thing for us to use 3 ults, especially with being down the Reaper in that engagement. That's fine. Okay. So now we have a Junkrat instead of a Torb. I will say it's about lateral in terms of which one you should damage boost. It could really be either the Junk or the Reaper. I think in general with a Doomfist, the Reaper is going to get a little bit more value because he can go engage together with the Doomfist. So I would still think about sticking with the Reaper as much as possible. But we can also hear that the enemy has Junkrat. So I'd be very hesitant about going into small corridors because you can get killed so easily by accident by a Junkrat. So I wouldn't even worry about healing him once he's, well, I would until he's hit this health, and then I would try and go back to damage boosting either the Junk or the Reaper here, and probably the Reaper. Although the Junk is low. That's fine. So then we would just wanted to try and damage boost. So our team is having a hard time engaging. This will kind of help encourage them engage. I'd Valk to engage. I talked about this. I recently, literally yesterday, I did a Silver Mercy VOD review. And one thing that I would consider is with Valkyrie, this is an ultimate that if you are defending a space, this does not necessarily mean you are in defense. It means that your team is trying, the enemy team is going to be pushing into you and you guys need to defend because they're trying to take your space. I would pop Valk defensively. If you are trying to push into the enemy's space, I would pop Valk offensively. So earlier when I was saying it, because I was talking about like the ult trades and stuff, we wanted to pass it defensively because we had control of the point and they had to push it into us. Now they have control and we need to push into them, so I would look to pop it offensively. So I would Valk here. It really is just the difference between Valking at the beginning of the fight or in the middle of the fight. Try and damage boost him here. Whew, that's scary. So we could try, I would consider where our Ana is and think about getting a res. Yeah. Still stay though. Wait until the fight's won. Yeah, we're good. We could go reser. So go up with your team. You don't need to be on point. You're losing up time by doing this. And your team can help you, because if this Moira was a little bit smarter, she would have killed you. Full on killed you. Damage boost, damage boost, damage boost. Oh, he'll do it now, he's low. But that's also kind of part of it. It's because you weren't up with your team. You've now been guided even further back. The Doom's anti. You could start healing in here. Nice. It's a nice little movement you did to go backwards there. This is fine because it's a high charge area you're against. I do think we could have probably helped the Reaper. It's hard to see that, but we definitely could have. Like right here. Here. He needs help. Yep. And then just try and damage boost the junk. So all that time we didn't have a beam on anyone. That's wasted time. Do not go for a res here. Okay, good. So let me actually point out something. I want to point out why you guys lost this fight. And one, there's a few reasons why you guys lost this fight. I didn't go nearly far back enough. So the reality is you guys barely won the fight beforehand, okay? You guys are down 2. So if you look behind you, our teammates are all the way back there. And these guys are pushing up. So this is why we start losing this fight. Look, they're about to push into 3 people. So you can try and help them, because then this will be at least a 3v3. But the thing is, because we are going into them, it's much faster for their teammates to get back than ours. Because our teammates now have to cover even more ground. They have to go all the way here, and then here, and then here for us if we're taking a fight up here. So because your team's really split, they shouldn't have pushed up. They just feel like they should because it's 90% and they can get a pick. They need to group up, in all honesty. I don't know why I'm looking at the Doom. Okay, there we go. And then you take a lot of entry damage here, which is unfortunate, but it's not actually that much, so don't worry too much about it. And we didn't get a pick. We should be about, yeah, we're 4 now. And it's just Doom takes too much damage because he got antied because he pushed up without, he just pushed up too much, honestly. No damage backing him. The Zarya switch is pretty big on their part. So after we lose 2, we just needed to get out. I don't even think it's worth trying to help this guy. He just needs to die faster. Because now you're risking your life by your positioning. It's weird the orb is glitched right there. Okay. So we don't need to engage here. We need to fully regroup. We want to think about where our DPS are because we want to damage boost them. It's good healing on the Ana here though. We don't want her to die. Just unfortunate because we didn't need to heal the Doom. We just needed to keep it on the Ana. Just keep it on the Ana the whole time because guess what? I think she still would have died in all honesty because of how much damage that was. But our Ana can heal the Doom. Our Ana can heal the Doom. Our Ana cannot heal herself. Yeah, it needed to stay on her. This is very unfortunate staying here for too long. It's also her bad positioning. It's a good res, but now we're pushing into a fight where we have lost our Reaper as well. This is all fine. I like healing a lot here because they're pushing a lot of damage into us. When you went to the junk though, you want to try and default to damage boosting him. And now look at that. Look at how much downtime we had where we had our beam on no one. Right here. So we needed to Valk right about, I think pretty close to as soon as we got it, because they're at 91. We shouldn't have lost the junk because we knew he was there, and we could have definitely connected our beam to him earlier. I think we could have maybe gotten past the Zarya. I'll talk about movement in a minute. Actually, I'll talk about movement a bit at the end of this video, because I feel like your movement is very, very restricted, and it feels like you don't utilize all of her movement kit very much. Sucks your junk didn't wait for you, but it is what it is. This is good. And switch to damage boost here. Yeah. Don't worry about healing your tank. That's your honest job.
One. Round 2. Capture the objective.
They're going to throw everything they have.
So on this map, looking at our comp, I'd probably think about damage boosting the junk most of the time. Good. I'd be weary about peeking here, but it's not the worst. You're very good at these like backwards GAs, but we don't really utilize super jump very much at all. Like right here, we very much need it. We're gonna die now. Oh my gosh. Yeah, we need to be super jumping. And damage boosting. This is a lot of like excess healing people who are full targets or too close to full. The amount of like input, just switch over. Default mode is damage boost mode. And we need to push up. That's a lot of time we're missing. Uptime. We could maybe even get that res just around this corner. It's too late now. Yeah. Sometimes fast reses, they just don't expect them. You might have still gotten headshot in all honesty, depending on how good this guy is. I would Valk right now. Okay, good. That was a little delayed in my opinion, but it's fine. Woo! I don't know how we didn't pull ourselves out of that. Very good. Damage boost? Damage boost. They don't need healing, they need more damage. When you're in Valk, you're damage boosting your basically entire team for 30% extra damage. So we would have gotten those kills without us having to necessarily pull our pistol out, or we would have won that fight even sooner. We need to push up. We need to be with a DPS. We need to increase our uptime. I don't mind damage boosting a support, but the thing is, if you're both focusing on damage, no one's healing. So that's why I'm always like iffy about damage boosting a support. What we need to be just pick a DPS and stick with one of them. Not when Junk's ulting, it doesn't do any extra damage. So when he's ulting, definitely switch. It's a nice kill. And that's fine too, but now we need to get back up, push up, damage boost someone, probably Junk right here because he's gonna have good spam. Nice. But faster. Everything but faster. And you guys won. Okay, so I'm gonna be really honest here. I think you are at the correct elo. I don't think we really super jumped at all. So this beam and then hitting a mouse button, which I originally said if you don't have an extra mouse button on your mouse, I'd highly consider putting it to like scroll wheel or something, just something so that way your right hand is dealing with more movement than just your left hand. So it's like when we're doing this, I really want you to get into Mercy parkour lobbies and just work on actually thinking about good positioning here. So if we were actually, well, thinking about like idling and just trying the enemy to not see you, so just staying like up here all the time kind of thing. Doesn't have to be necessary. Like honestly, in all honesty, we could be here, we could be over here if our enemies were actually all the way over there and they can't see us kind of thing, and doing something like this. But I really want you to try and implement more super jumps so that way you can do things that are on the high ground and you'll just be less pressured. I find that a lot of the times we're in the mid fight, we're in the main fight, and while we still are pretty good about finding natural cover in main, it's a lot easier to take cover in the high ground. Especially on that second Antarctic map you played, there's a lot of good high ground for you there. Like I said, I think you should pick one support hero and just stick with them until you're at least high gold. I'm not gonna lie. That doesn't necessarily have to be Mercy. I actually think Mercy is one of the harder ones to do because she is very reliant on your teammates doing the things that they're supposed to be doing. So if I'm healing people, and they're in the bad position, I don't have enough healing to get them out of the bad position. If I'm like damage boosting somebody and they're missing all their shots, then my damage boost, my uptime is still very low, even though I have my beam on someone. I think the thing that you could do to improve immediately is think about default mode. Who should you be damage boosting right now? And then only heal when it's extremely necessary. So what do I mean by that? If we are in a composition where we are like Mercy, Ana, well, obviously we're Mercy, so if our other healer is Baptiste, Ana, Kiriko, Moira, I think we do not need to heal very much. We don't really need to be healing the tank because the other person can take care of that for us. We can just focus on helping people when they're in dire situations and they need to get out. That's very good for this. Or if they need a little bit of support, we can switch back to the tank, but only a little bit. And then honestly, not everybody needs to be full health at all times. After a fight is won, you can heal everybody up. But while a fight's going on, if somebody is down, that much health, I switch back to damage boost. And then when they hit that much health, heal them. And then damage boost them again. So it's that, like, this health is a resource, but so is, like, my damage boost. I'm trying to manage both resources of their health and the damage, because if I'm damage boosting them, it's possible they just kill the other person, and then guess what? They're dead, so I can just heal this person all the way up afterwards. Because my teammate is putting out 30% more damage, so theoretically the enemy should die 30% faster. I think my damage boost to healing beam is generally closer to like 65, 55. Wait, that's not right. 65, 45. Wait, that's not right either. Wait, math. Oh no. Okay, well anyway, we'll actually look. I haven't played too much Mercy this season, but I played some last season. Okay, 59-41. There you go. Just to give you a gauge, and then my damage amplified is 18.77. And like I said, it is a little bit harder, in my opinion, to play Mercy in these elos, but if you're playing her efficiently, and you're realizing the good times to, like, if you are surviving, if you're getting off reses, safe reses that provide, like, instant value, if you're Valkyrieing at the right times, which I think generally you're a little bit late, Valkyrie builds very fast, so don't be afraid to use it. You can still carry. You find out can still carry with Mercy. So, I think that is it. If you want me to look at a different healer, or you have another Mercy VOD later, let me know. And I hope this was helpful, and if you have any questions, you can also DM me. Or, I mean, ask in the forums. Okay, bye!